In this video, we'll discuss the market situation, go over some trading ideas that can be implemented, and I'll tell you something interesting. First, let's quickly recap last week. It was a short week and quite uneventful, but even so, the trades that were offered still played out. Let me remind you that the main idea was to open an iron condor on the SPX with the left wing set at 74.75 and the right wing at 7600, which corresponded to the 1 sigma resistance level. The idea was to close the position once it started generating a profit of 25 to 50%. And to refresh your memory, let me attach a short clip from the previous episode. Right now, you could open an iron condor on the SPX expiring this Friday and hold the position until the profit reaches 25 to 50%. As a hedge against a potential market downturn, you could have layered in a calendar put spread on top of that iron condor. The logic was simple. If the market tanked, the combined position would have yielded a very substantial profit. On the flip side, if the market stayed range-bound or even drifted slightly higher, the overall gain would have been lower than if you'd run the iron condor solo, but you'd still be in the green. Ultimately, by the end of the week, price hit resistance, failed to break out, and Friday closed right inside the iron condor's range, allowing us to extract the maximum possible profit from the strategy. Now let's move on to discussing the current market situation. Last week closed with modest gains, marking the 9th consecutive green week. I'm highlighting this because prior to this there were 8 straight-up weeks, and throughout all recorded history that has happened only 9 times. And when we talk about 9, 10, or 11 consecutive up weeks, such situations have occurred even more rarely. So from a historical statistical perspective, the market is currently experiencing a real deviation. Let's discuss this in more detail because understanding the reasons behind this relentless rally gives us insight into what might happen in the future. The main reason for the rally we are currently seeing is a gamma squeeze. I'll try to explain this as simply as possible so that everyone can understand it. Imagine a car sitting at the top of a hill with the engine off. If you give it a slight push, it will start rolling downhill. At first, it will move slowly, then faster and faster, and at a certain point, due to its own weight and gravity, it will reach a speed that, figuratively speaking, will be far greater than the effort applied to start the process. And a similar situation is happening in the market. In the media, the bullish sentiment is being pinned on a few key factors ranging from anticipation of an imminent peace deal between the US and Iran to the another wave of the AI boom. But these are primarily triggers that sparked the rally and fueled the initial enthusiasm rather than the catalyst sustaining it. The real catalyst is what's happening behind the scenes. Here's the thing. Traders use call options as a tool to leverage their gains, potentially making much more than they would by simply buying the stock. Plus, the risk is capped. No matter how far the stock price drops, your losses are limited to a fixed amount. But how does this lead to a market rally? Options are based on several parameters, one of which is called delta. Delta shows how much the price of an option will change when the underlying asset's price changes by $1. For example, if you buy a call option on a stock with a delta of 0.5, that means that for every $1 increase in the stock, your option will increase by 50 cents. One lot contains 100 options, so if the stock rises by $1, you would make $50. But when an investor buys an option, someone has to sell it. Typically, that someone is a market maker, dealer, or broker. And here's where it gets interesting, because if the stock rallies and you close out your option for a profit, these guys are on the hook to pay you that money. Agree, if they had to pay out of their own pocket every time someone made money in a rising market, they would go bankrupt very quickly. To avoid this, they hedge the sold option by buying actual shares equal to the size of the option's delta. In other words, if you buy an option with a delta of 0.5, the market maker will buy 50 actual shares. So if the stock rises by $1 and the trader decides to close the position, their profit will be $50 because 100 times 0.5 equals 50. At the same time, the 50 shares held by the market maker will also increase in value by $1, generating $50 in profit. When the trader closes their option, the market maker sells those shares, locks in the profit, and passes it on to the trader. Thus, on the rise in the stock price, the market maker makes no profit. Their only interest is in the commission they earn when they initially sell you the option. If the trader decides not to close the option and continues to hold it, then as the stock price rises further, the delta will increase to 0.6 and the market maker will buy another 10 shares as a hedge. If the delta starts to decline, the market maker will sell shares. This is simple risk management that shouldn't have an impact on the market. But when the options market becomes very large, this hedging itself begins to influence prices. I've already shown you this chart, which clearly displays the explosive growth in call options volume over the last few years. The popularity of short-term options, which expire either at the end of the day or the end of the week, continues to rise as well. Just 5 years ago, such options accounted for no more than 15% of the total volume. Now they exceed 60%. The point is that due to their relative cheapness, traders can afford to buy quite a few options. And this in turn prompts dealers to buy actual shares as a hedge, often worth tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. In other words, the old saying, "the tail is wagging the dog," is literally playing out in the market right now. Options were originally created as a form of insurance against market events. But today it turns out that hedging positions are no longer opened based on market conditions. Instead, the market moves based on how dealers open or close their hedges. It might look like we've finally found the holy grail. Traders around the world just need to unite and always buy call options. This would force dealers to keep buying more stock, which drives the price up, allowing everyone to close out their options for a profit, and then you just rinse and repeat. In theory, it sounds very promising, but there are several nuances. First, and this is the most important, this entire pyramid will function as long as, roughly speaking, more call options are bought tomorrow than are closed today. Because if tomorrow a dealer starts buying fewer shares as a hedge than they sold today, then net selling will appear in the market. Second, dealers have no need or incentive to constantly push the market higher. All of their actions are solely related to hedging. So if negative news emerges that causes the market to decline, and consequently reduces the delta of the option, then every share that dealers were forced to buy on the way up will be sold on the way down, which will amplify the selling pressure. Another nuance that appears when stocks fall is that as the market declines, the purchase of put options begins to exceed the purchase of call options. At that point, dealers will have short put gamma and will be forced to sell shares as prices drop in order to maintain their hedge, and in that scenario, selling will beget more selling. So getting back to the topic of a gamma squeeze, this is a situation where a massive spike in call options demand forces hedgers to buy up shares in huge volumes, triggering an absolute moonshot in price. One of the most striking recent examples is Avis, ticker CAR. Starting March 20th, the stock skyrocketed over 750% in just a single month, while call options volume exploded by 10,000%. But the moment dealers started dumping those shares, everything round-tripped right back to the starting line in literally 2 days. This is exactly why I keep telling you that macroeconomic data and classic fundamentals have way less pull on the markets today than they did even 10 years ago. If call options are being scooped up aggressively and that forces market makers to flood the market with real cash, the market will keep ripping higher, completely ignoring any macroeconomic slowdown. But if market makers start selling everything they've accumulated into the market, no good corporate earnings report will stop the stock from falling. The example with Avis is obviously an extreme outlier because the float is relatively small, and we also had a massive short squeeze layered on top of it. Of course, a megacap blue chip or a major index is never going to rip 800% in a month or crash 90%. In those cases, the swings are usually capped at a few dozen percent. However, we are seeing these exact same dynamics play out right now across the broader market as a whole and within specific tickers in particular. For instance, we can currently see this playing out in SMH, the semiconductor ETF, or in Broadcom, where the key support level sits at 420. For now, dealers are forced to remain long on these assets. However, this won't last forever. The tide could turn either when call buying slows down or right after expiration, because once options expire, dealers will inevitably unwind their inventory and dump the excess shares from their balance sheets. In any case, against the backdrop of this widespread euphoria, put options have become incredibly cheap. And puts are the kind of tool you want to buy before the move happens, because if the market starts to dump, a spike in implied volatility will cause premiums to skyrocket instantly. Right now, there's a great window of opportunity to buy puts on the cheap. By the way, there is a very high probability that this window will slam shut after Broadcom reports this Thursday, especially if they miss expectations. That's why it's actually a pretty solid time to load up on November puts. You could set up some debit spreads or something a bit more sophisticated, but the main point is that even a minor market pullback will immediately send these positions into nice profitability. Now let's move on to discussing the current market situation. This week started in positive gamma territory. As the nearest resistance level, we can highlight the 760 strike. The final weekly resistance is in the 765 to 767 range. There is a 770 level, but I'm not taking that into account, and I'll explain why shortly. The gamma flip zone is in the 756 range, and below that we can highlight two important levels, 750 and 740, because these are the largest negative and absolute gamma values. The nearest support is at the gamma flip zone, and this level separates bullish and bearish territory. Therefore, if the price falls below this level, we can expect a more significant correction to develop. If we exclude Monday from the analysis, we see that as the price rises, absolute gamma begins to decline. The 770 level no longer stands out as much, so the likelihood of the price reaching that high this week is quite low. But what's interesting is that if we select only Friday, we see that the only level that remains relevant throughout the entire week is the 740 level. If we transfer all these levels to a candlestick chart, they will look like this. It's still too early to say that the price could fall to the 740 because it remains in positive gamma territory, and up until Friday there is another support level at 750. But this is a rather interesting signal indicating that there are some concerns about a market decline. And if you want to see in advance what's happening behind the scenes of the market and make timely, well-informed trading decisions, the link to the app with all the necessary information is in the description below this video. From a technical analysis perspective, the weekly probability distribution curve on the SPX identifies the 1 sigma resistance level at the 7665 mark, which corresponds to the 760 level on SPY, and the support level at the 7515 mark, which corresponds to the 750 level on SPY. The support zone from last week's volume also runs through this range. Now let's talk about the strategies that can be implemented. Let's start with the basic one, an iron condor on the SPX. I'm recording this video on Tuesday and the expiration is set for June 5th. The left wing is set at the 7550 strike and the right wing at the 7670 strike. With this iron condor, we're capturing the range from resistance zone number 2 down to the gamma flip level. If the price stays within this pocket throughout the week, the strategy will yield a very solid return. Keep in mind, you don't have to hold this position all the way to expiration. You can easily close it out once you hit 30 to 60% of max profit. But today we discussed that the largest negative and absolute gamma values are at the 740 level. Of course, given where the price is currently and the fact that there are only 3 to 4 days left until the end of the week, the probability of the price falling to the 740 level is quite low. Nevertheless, betting on a market decline from current levels is not without merit. We can open a calendar put spread on the SPX with the nearest expiration this Friday and the 7400 strikes. The position profile will look like this, and as of today, this is one of the best risk-to-reward ratios available. Right now, this position is very cheap and the maximum loss will not exceed $200. At the same time, the break-even point is very close, and if on any day between now and Friday the price corrects even slightly, this position will immediately generate good profit. The second advantage is that this position is very easy to hedge with an iron condor. For example, if we go back to events just a couple of months ago, back then you needed to open 3 or 4 iron condors on the SPX to hedge one calendar put spread. Now, a single iron condor will already offset the potential losses. What I mean is that if the price stays within this range by Friday, the profit on one iron condor will be $235. But if by expiration the price rises even to 7670, the loss on the calendar put spread will be about $180. So with just one iron condor, those losses are already covered, resulting in a completely risk-free bet on a decline. But we could open 2 or 3 iron condors and the combination would look even more attractive. If we imagine that by Friday the market drops to 7500, the calendar put spread would show a profit of roughly $1,300. Meanwhile, one iron condor would show a loss of $200 or $400 to $600 if we open 2 or 3 condors, so those losses would be much smaller than the profit generated by the calendar put spread. Furthermore, given that the market is currently at all-time highs and put options are cheap, you could choose expiration dates further out, for example June 18th and June 22nd. The position would still be very inexpensive, but if a correction begins, it would immediately generate substantial profit. You could also explore more exotic combinations such as pairing a calendar put spread with a call butterfly. With this strategy, we create another zone where we will achieve maximum profit. And as in the example above, if a correction begins on any given day, this position will immediately show good profit. Another option is a long put butterfly, also expiring this Friday. The break-even point is at the 760 strike, which corresponds to the main resistance level. The maximum profit will be seen at the 756 strike, which corresponds to the gamma flip zone. So the position profile will look like this, and if the price is here toward the end of the week, we will achieve maximum profit. But if a decline begins, no matter how much the price falls, we will still make money. On top of that, we have a little margin for error, and if it turns out that the rally continues, this position won't generate large losses, leaving us time to make decisions. That's all for today. Good luck with your trading and see you next time.